A fleet of warships surround a small island. They don't bother firing conventional weapons. The crew knows they would have no effect on the monsters on the island. Instead, it's a fight for the hunters to handle. Men and women bearing swords, shields, daggers and magic bravely face off against gigantic ants, but the low-rank hunters are overwhelmed by the attacking monsters. All hope seems lost until a hooded man leaps into the fray. He heals one of the badly hurt hunters as his two allies take care of the remaining beasts. The three heroes are S-rank hunters, the most powerful, and they let loose with confidence. 10 years earlier, gates linked to an alternate dimension suddenly opened around the world. Magic beasts poured through. At the same time, new magical abilities capable of taking on the monsters awakened in some humans. Those people became known as hunters. They're ranked according to the power they contain, from E rank, the lowest, to D, C, B, A, and S rank, the highest. Their powers remain at the level they awakened, never growing any stronger. Meet Sung Jin-woo. In the present day, Sung Jin-woo is one of the E-rank hunters. He arrives at his latest job, a raid, in a low-ranking dungeon with several other hunters. Sung has a reputation for being the weakest hunter of all mankind. He's not disliked, but seeing him called in for a job means that the raid will be an easygoing one. The other hunters greet him amiably. Sung greets Ju-hee, a healer he's worked with before. She's dismayed to see his injuries from a previous job and reminds him to be careful. He's not bothered, however, and tells her he's used to it. As the raid gets underway, Sung checks that he has his weapon. It's a low-power knife, but it's all he could afford. Dungeon break. Elsewhere, the chairman of the Hunters Association, Go Gun-hee, discusses the finer points of dungeon raids with a subordinate. Go tells him that the resources found inside, essence stones collected by defeating monsters, are in high demand by the current administration. As such, hunters can make a living by selling them. Essence stones can be used to make weapons and gear, and the government is researching ways to use them as sources of clean, safe energy. Back in the dungeon, Sung is overjoyed when he finds his very first essence stone. But his happiness is short-lived as a monster attacks. Sung's knife breaks, and the monster pierces his side with a sword. Another hunter defeats the magic beast and Ju-hee uses magic to heal Sung's wounds. She's concerned that he keeps risking his life in raid after raid. Into the depths. The group believes they've killed the dungeon boss, but one hunter spies a tunnel leading into darkness. They discuss going further for more loot, and Sung is the deciding vote. He's the sole earner for his family. His dad is missing, his mother is in the hospital, and he's helping pay for his sister's college education. He needs the money, so he votes to go into the depths of the dungeon. Meanwhile, in the city, a purse snatcher grabs a woman's bag. A striking young woman leaps into the air and effortlessly retrieves the purse and takes out the thief in one graceful move. Bystanders recognize her as Cha Hae-in, S-rank hunter. Cha, uncomfortable with the attention, quickly leaves the scene. Trapped. After the group of hunters walk for almost an hour, they reach a large door. They open it to reveal a circular chamber that illuminates itself as they enter. Enormous statues line the walls. There are no beasts inside, but Ju-hee is unsettled by the eyes of the largest statue. Suddenly, the doors slam shut. An exasperated hunter walks toward them, intending to leave. The statue by the door attacks and slices the unsuspecting hunter in half. The hunters panic. Sung thinks about all the other close calls he's had in dungeons, from sustaining horrible wounds to nearly starving to death. After surviving for this long, he's able to react just before the next attack comes. He saves Ju-hee's life, but quickly realizes how dire the situation is. The stone floor of Kart Inan Temple smolders from the statue's attack and the party of trap hunters continues to panic. The party leader, Song, credits Jinwoo's quick thinking for their survival. Jinwoo gasps as he notices Song's lower arm has been severed. Jinwoo bandages the upper arm to slow the bleeding. The party's distraught healer, Ju-hee, is curled into a ball. It's the reason why she takes lower-ranked jobs, Song tells Jinwoo. Song recalls the 3 commandments written on a tablet in the chamber. In order to leave the room alive, the party must revere God, praise God, and prove their faith to God. Jinwoo realizes the God in the text is the largest statue in the room. Meanwhile, at a local high school, Jinwoo's sister Jaina greets her friend Song-yi as she sits down at her desk. Song-yi asks Jaina about her hunter brother, and she admits he's only E-rank and gets injured often. Song-yi wonders out loud if she would be better at the job. Back in the dungeon, the party weighs their options. An impatient hunter decides he can reach the door with his enhanced speed. He is, in fact, not fast enough. As the party stares in shock at the hunter's burning remains, Jinwoo wonders why the statue is leaving them alive for the moment. After testing his theory that his head must remain lowered to keep from triggering an attack, Jinwoo tells the others to bow before it. The party complies, and the statue powers down, then bares its teeth in an evil grin. The statue rises from its throne and stalks toward the hunters. Jinwoo quickly relays the second commandment to the others, praise God, but doesn't know what it means. One hunter attempts to pray but meets a swift end under a large stone foot. Another hunter, Park, tries to take cover in front of a statue wielding a weapon, but is cleaved in two by its blade. Jinwoo thinks on his feet, pulling a tearful Juhee along with him as he runs. He notices that a number of the statues hold weapons, but some carry instruments, a means of praise. Jinwoo shouts at the remaining party members to run for those statues. When they reach it, the stone figure plays its music and the hunter in front of it is safe. Jinwoo leaves Juhee at the base of one and takes off for the remaining figure with the largest statue hot on his heels. Jinwoo makes it to safety, but at the cost of his leg. 6 hunters remain. An altar rises through the floor in the center of the chamber. Jinwoo knows that a sacrifice is usually the method for proving one's faith. An angry hunter nominates Song due to his failure as party leader. Song takes responsibility for their situation and walks over to the altar. A bright yellow flame ignites as he approaches, but nothing else happens. Jinwoo asks 2 hunters to take him to the altar to examine it. As they do, 3 more yellow flames light. The ear-rank hunter considers waiting here to be rescued, but realizes the statues could break free from the dungeon and wreak havoc before that happens. Defeating the dungeon boss typically closes the gate and monsters can't come through. The hunters have no choice but to complete the dungeon. Elsewhere, hospital staff greet Jaina as she arrives for her daily visit. She takes a deep breath before cheerfully entering her mother's room. Her mother, weak and unconscious, lies motionless on the hospital bed. Jaina tells her about her day. The remaining hunters approach the altar, and their yellow flames and a ring of blue flame ignite. The door opens as menacing statues come to life around them. One hunter has had enough and she panics, running out the door. She makes it through. As her yellow flame goes out, the door closes slightly, but still stays open. As the blue flames start to extinguish one by one, Jinwoo understands their purpose as a timer, but isn't sure what happens when time runs out. Another hunter runs away. Another one apologizes, crying that he has to live for his family, and runs out. Jinwoo asks Song to take Juhee out while he stays to keep the door open. It's not possible for him to take her with his missing leg. Jinwoo says he'll see her again. Left alone in the chamber, Jinwoo grabs a sword, but he's no match for the attacking statues. His body is stabbed, slashed, battered and impaled by the time they're done with him. Jinwoo gives into anger and frustration as they strike. A statue swings the fatal blow as the last blue flame goes out, leading to a glowing computer prompt. The notification mentions a secret quest called Courage of the Weak. The towering statue brings its sword down on Jinwoo's battered body, and he wakes up with a gasp in a hospital room. His body, including the arm and leg that were both severed in the dungeon, is whole again. Jinwoo wonders if it was all a dream. He hears a knock at the door as 2 investigators from the Hunters Association surveillance team, Woo Jinchul and Kong Taeshik, enter his room. They tell Jinwoo that he's been unconscious for 3 days. Only 6 hunters survived the raid, including Song and Juhee. When high-ranking hunters were dispatched to the mysterious double dungeon, it had already disappeared. All they found was Jinwoo and the scattered remains of the other hunters. They ask him if he survived due to a second awakening, a rare occurrence that allows a hunter to exceed their current rank. A test of his mana reveals that didn't happen, to Jinwoo's disappointment. As the investigators leave the room, Jinwoo wonders why they didn't ask him about the system message floating above his bed. Just then, the door opens to reveal his sister, Jaina. She starts to lecture him about taking better care of himself. He can't help smiling because he's happy to see her. Jinwoo asks if she can see the system message, but she can't, confirming that it's only visible to him. She tells him she's glad he's okay and leaves. Jinwoo opens his messages and sees 2 notifications waiting for him. One warns him that failure to comply with a system message results in a penalty. Another notification for a daily quest, strength training, catches his eye. It lists exercises and endurance training with a ticking down time limit, but Jinwoo decides to rest instead. Meanwhile, Jinchul relays their findings to Chairman Go. They agree it's an unusual case to be further studied. At the Hunters Guild headquarters, S-rank hunter Cha Haein is assigned to a B-rank raid to serve in a training capacity. Haein expresses doubts about her ability to be a mentor, but the guild leader assures her that everyone will learn from her example. Elsewhere, gates begin to manifest around the city, although its citizens are used to them by now. It's the middle of the night when another system message appears above Jinwoo's hospital bed. The room shakes, and the low-rank hunter opens his eyes to see a vast desert stretching before him. The system's penalty has been activated. Jinwoo must survive for 4 hours as he's chased by a giant desert centipede. He runs as long as he can and barely makes it to the allotted time. Jinwoo reappears in his hospital room, out of breath and covered in sand and sweat. Now aware of the consequences, Jinwoo takes his daily training quest seriously. While While he's outside running laps, his friend Juhee, still traumatized from the disastrous raid, brings flowers to the hospital. But when she sees him exercising, Juhee changes her mind and leaves. Before he sees her, outside, Jinwoo looks at the system messages tracking his quests and skills. He receives a full recovery as a daily quest reward and allocates his new stat points, concentrating on strength. He also receives a random loot box reward, a key to an instance dungeon. Jinwoo takes some time to visit his mother in the hospital. He recalls the day 4 years earlier, when she fell unconscious. Doctors diagnosed her with eternal sleep disease, a new condition that appeared along with the otherworldly gates. All they can do is keep her on life support, a costly treatment, and the reason why Jinwoo works so hard as a hunter despite the danger. After pouring stat points into strength, Jinwoo decides he's ready to take on the instance dungeon. He's determined to keep getting stronger and plans to run away if things get hairy. Inside the dungeon, he enters, and the entrance seals behind him. He has no choice but to complete the dungeon, even though he's never defeated beasts even as low as E rank before. As he enters a lower level of the dungeon, goblins burst through the ceiling. The last time Jinwoo faced a goblin, it stabbed him in the abdomen, and now he has to fight 3 of them. They swing blades in unrelenting attacks, and the hunter defends himself, finally managing to slay all of them. Just as Jinwoo realizes he's gotten stronger, another creature attacks and breaks his sword. It's a steel-fanged lichen.